What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming, the show where we talk about gaming news. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
And quick reminders that we are in a new month, so make sure to download and play Batman Arkham Knight and Darksiders 3, both out for free on PlayStation Plus throughout the month of September. Make sure to download those, play those, and come back at the end of the month for Plus Club. Let us know what you thought of those games. We'll let you know what we thought. And our game picked by Chevy this month is Monster Hunter World in honor of Iceborne coming out. Make sure to play Monster Hunter World and pick up Iceborne if you want. And we will talk about that at the end of the month for Game of the Month. Let us know what you thought of that game as well. We have a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. And we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us. I fucking nailed that. Nailed it.
You did.
And Chris is here, which is fantastic. We love Chris around here.
I love being here.
All right. That's good. That's great. I'm glad we're all fucking having a good time. We have 2 bits of news to talk about, so let's jump into it. First bit of news.
All right, Capcom earlier, I'm not sure the exact day they did it, but they teased a new Resident Evil game.
It was early.
It is known as Project Resistance. They do have a teaser page up, and the game will be available on PC via Steam and all consoles, it seems like. I don't see Switch mentioned, so maybe I'm wrong there.
Wait, it's coming out on Steam.
Yes.
That's nice.
Ooh.
Good job, Capcom.
There's no official title for it, like I mentioned before, but they will be showing more on it on their YouTube on September 9th, and they will be at TGS September 12th. There's more to this that was posted a little later. There was 4 leaked images of a group of characters, which are presumed to be co-op playable characters.
Bunch of chads.
And it seems like the speculation is going to be a game similar to that of Revelations or Outbreak. So thoughts of them making a new Resident Evil? Are you excited to see the details in September? And what do you think it's going to be?
I'll jump in. So I'm really excited for this, honestly. I think Capcom has completely been on a redemption arc with what they've done in the past and what the games they've been releasing ever since Monster Hunter World, which is our game of the month. Make sure to play that and come back to the month plus club game of the month. Quick fucking thing. But ever since they released that, they've been making really great games again, and it's been awesome. So Resident Evil 7 was really good. Resident Evil 2 Remake is amazing. It's really good. It's one of my favorite survival horror games. So the idea of them teasing any Resident Evil is really exciting because they're doing a good job right now. And so that's awesome. But then also that they potentially, which is crazy to me, could be making another co-op Resident Evil that possibly could be like Outbreak is huge to me because I think Outbreak was way ahead of its time. I was one of those assholes who actually played that game, and as if everyone who played the game was just an asshole.
Jerks.
I was one of you.
Goddamn dick bags.
Bunch of dickheads playing that game. And if you didn't get a chance to play that back in the day, Outbreak was a PS2 game that you had to have the what was that thing you had to put on the back of the PS2 to get internet?
Oh,
do you remember?
Yeah, it was a modem.
Yeah, there's like a modem you had to put on the back of the PS2, plug that fucker in. We had that because you used to play something on there.
Final Fantasy 11.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 11. And so I had Outbreak, and it was really cool because it was set up like the earlier Resident Evils, where it's like tank controls kind of. I think it was still tank controls. You might have still moved with analog, but it was still those fixed camera positions, and you would start all these different scenarios during what was the Resident Evil 2 Outbreak. So it was kind of neat. It kind of expanded on that lore. And you played as like random people during that time. You picked a character. They all had starting gear. The cop had a gun, but one clip. Some other people had someone had like a lockpick or a key or something like that. And yeah, you went from the beginning of the scenario to the end. Had to typically fight a boss, I think. And you were essentially trying to survive the zombie outbreak. You're just playing as random survivors. It's really neat because it played just like other Resident Evils. The zombies would come up and grab you, and people would have to stab them and shoot them and try and get them off. And then you could I think you could hide in that game too, which is kind of a weird mechanic. You could hide under beds or some shit. I don't remember. I remember being able to go into things. It's been a while since I played it. I really liked that game, and nobody played it. So, in my opinion, it's really ahead of its time. Not to say that this game would be exactly that, but if they did something like Outbreak again, I think it's the time to do it. Especially, don't half-ass it. They've experimented with making multiplayer Resident Evil games recently. They had that first-person shooter that came out. and it's kind of a cool idea, but it was so shittily made. Does anyone remember what it was called?
Nope. I know.
Came out like in the last,
I know
like,
what
2-3
you're talking
years.
about because I remember watching you play it a little bit.
Yeah, and it was weird because you could literally go from like full on running to laying down and stay at the same speed while
Yeah.
laying down. That's how
silly.
badly developed this game was made.
Yeah.
I like after a while would just lay on the ground and just, like slide around shooting people at the same speed of running. And people weren't expecting it because why the fuck would you? What game has that? It's like how Tribes, when it came out, there was a glitch where you could slide down hills and gain momentum, and then they created that to be like the thing.
Skiing.
Skiing, yeah. They were like, this is Tribes. That glitch, we're just going to keep that. That's actually really fun to do. Maybe this will, in the future, just be like the game where you lay on the ground and slide around shooting people and shit. I have no idea. It was fucking awful. But it's kind of a cool idea.
Simulator.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of a cool idea, though, the idea of having a first-person shooter, but having zombies in the mix is kind of cool, but not well executed. So, if they're going to do this four-person co-op game that's being speculated on, the pictures we're seeing looks like the new Resident Evil engine, and that's a fantastic engine. I'm so excited to see anything else that comes out on that thing, because so far everything that's been made on it has been awesome. But make it survival horror. Like give me like a Resident Evil 2 experience in co-op 4-player, similar to Outbreak, and you will have my fucking money. I will buy the shit out of that game. That sounds awesome to me. So I'm very excited to see what they show off, and I can't wait. But if it's not that, I'm excited for anything. If it could be Resident Evil 3, even though those pictures don't look like Resident Evil 3. But yeah, really excited.
Maybe a little hesitant, but the Resident Evils I have played were co-op. So I played Resident Evil 5, I think it was with you, all the way through the whole game.
Yeah, I hope it's not like that.
No, but I'm just saying, the only time I sat down to play Resident Evil was because the fact that I was able to play it with somebody. We even tried to dabble a little bit in 6.
It was fun.
Don't know. Oh, we're having issues.
Story's trash, but it's fun.
But yeah, so if there's a chance for me to potentially play Resident Evil, that's kind of the way to get me in there, because I'm not going to play a horror game by myself. It's just not my type of game. I get too in my own head about it. It might not even be scary, and I'm just telling myself so much crap that I can't progress in them. So
you don't want to play Blair Witch by yourself? It's really bad.
I watched you play the whole game. Why would I play it?
Because it's really bad, won't scare you. You're back. Pete, a horror game.
That's my whole point, though. A game doesn't have to be scary. It just has to have the right vibe, and I'll just all of a sudden start overthinking it. Doom was a great example of that. So yeah. Other than that, though, it does look gorgeous because, like you said, it's on that engine, and that
engine, baby.
They've made some magic with that engine, being able to make games look that good. But Capcom's always had kind of a really. One thing they've always been really good at is their games are usually graphically very good.
If you go back to the original Resident Evil, they're trying to make a photorealistic looking game. It's pixelated as fuck now, but like back then, they're like rendering pictures in the background because they're trying to make it look real.
And old Devil May Cry games and stuff like that, they always look really good.
Yeah.
So
Capcom has always been really good about that.
Yeah. So
not the original Monster Hunters, but they got a charm to them. So the new one looks great.
So I got to give them props for that too, because there's not a lot of AAA companies really kind of pushing graphics. In fact, it's a lot of the smaller companies. Well, smaller companies doing it. You got people like EA just recycling the same shit over and over and over again.
Just throwing it out there, fuck them.
But yeah.
Easy crumbs, eat up children.
Overall, I'm interested to see. I'm actually super stoked for TGS this year because the Japanese game market has been on fire.
Yeah, it's weird. I remember TGS years ago. I was like, "Yeah, we're just gonna get more of what we saw at E3." But now that there's so many Japanese companies killing it again, that whole market, there's almost like you can save stuff for TGS because they got stuff to announce now and shit. That is gonna be really exciting.
100%.
Yeah. So like Square Enix, I think is back. Capcom, I think is back. I don't want to get too confident in that because they've only released a couple really good games, but what they've released are fantastic. You got all sorts of shit. Bandai Namco, I think, is doing a really good job right now. Like a bunch of these companies.
Hit or miss, but their hits are really good. Yeah,
they're really good.
Yeah.
Like they're doing a great job. So TGS is exciting. Again, Gamescom was exciting.
Awesome.
Like gaming in general right now, when it comes to all these events, there's something. Wow, no, PAX don't really have anything except for Cyberpunk, but people are disappointed with that, which kind of sucks. But it just was too short for a lot of people.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I did a stream. Make sure to go watch that.
Game's coming out, you'll get the whole experience to yourself.
They want to know, Chevy. Don't be.
Get off your fucking high horse.
No, I can't. It's too high. Can't reach.
Might get
Scared.
hurt getting down.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's more comfortable up there. Have you been on a high horse? It's comfy as fuck.
Have you tried this saddle that I bought for this high horse? It is very comfy.
Yeah, he saved up. Why would he get off when he can stay
I don't
on?
like your horses.
Yeah. Chris?
I'm excited for a new Resident Evil game. I enjoy all of even just watching people play them, even if I get too spooked by them every now and then. I do enjoy playing them. I'm curious as to whether this is going to be like a Killing Floor stylist game where you fight waves.
I'll take that.
I would be intrigued to see how they do it in a Resident Evil platform, but I would still want like the intriguing story. Like that's what always keeps me in Resident Evils is the cool like sci-fi story involved in the horror genre. It's always my favorite part of it. So as long as they keep that in it, I think I'd be happy with a Killing Floor-esque game.
You know what I'd like actually? Now that we're doing that, I'd love to see it be like a Left 4 Dead Vermintide style game.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That would be dope.
Ooh. That'd be fun. That'd be cool. One thing I just thought about is Outbreak, when it came out, was an extension of the Resident Evil 2 story. Resident Evil 2 Remake has come out, and I fucking loved it. I thought it was really good. So for them to make another thing like Outbreak now would kind of make sense, because that, like I said, well, that was actually a different episode, but Resident Evil 2 was a lot of people's first Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So it's like the Resident Evil. I would bet to say that it is the Final Fantasy VII of Resident Evil. Resident Evil 2 is like everybody's first Resident Evil, their favorite one. Resident Evil 1's my favorite, but 2 is fantastic. But it was like the one that everybody got into first, typically, when I talk to people. And so it makes sense to remake that one, because that's like the pinnacle. But revisiting that, why not revisit more of the lore around that? That is the central, like Resident Evil serves as like a prologue almost to the event of Raccoon City. And so Raccoon City, there's so much shit, the event that happened there, to build upon. Resident Evil 3 is based off of that whole scenario too, and they've been saying they're working on Resident Evil 3 remake as well. So why not make a multiplayer game? Because that's all the rage. People want to play multiplayer games. I love multiplayer games. That also complements that whole thing. I mean, like if they're gonna maybe remake 2, and well, they already did, but and then remake games around that scenario, why not build upon it? So if they do that it makes sense in that regard as well. Just because, you know, that's why Outbreak existed. That's why this could exist. I would love to see even call it Outbreak again. Make a brand new one. Refine it, but make it play like Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 feels good. The shooting feels really good, and the horror is there, and the scarcity of like ammo was fantastic. It's a really good survival horror game, but it also is modern. It feels really good the way it plays. I love the way it plays. I loved the shooting in it. The way when you shoot zombies in the head and their head like, you know, bucks back and stuff, like it felt really good. If you can make that same experience in a multiplayer game and maybe do something like Vermintide, I didn't even think about that. That'd be cool.
Oh, that would be dope.
But some kind of, you know, scenarios you're going through, just like the original Outbreak with the new engine and the new gameplay. I mean, that would be a fucking winner, especially with how well Resident Evil 2 did and the buzz on it. You release this with the main teams working on this with the same kind of love and care and, like, you know, hard work and attention to detail. It'll sell, and just make sure, you know, it plays well. And I already said I'm sold on it, but it'd be awesome to see that. So, and then, yeah, maybe you could get people like Chevy playing it, even though if it is like Resident Evil 2, you're not going to want to play it because that game's fucking dark and creepy, and I loved it. But yeah, I hope, pretty sure everything you guys just said is all true. Those are all good ideas. The Vermintide thing would be interesting, just because that would make it more gamey and less survival horror-y, but at the same time, I mean, I wouldn't say no to that, because I love that formula of game, so where you're just moving through a map and there's, like, you know, randomized enemies. And
I think with the Resident Evil play style, you could have a unique version of that, or take on that genre even, and it could just be like Vermintide, where it is scenarios where you're going through, except in this case, obviously going through sections of Raccoon City, trying to maybe get out. So
I just hope they can incorporate the dark imagery and try and find some way to maintain a horror element to it, though, because
Yeah.
because that
Yeah.
I don't want to be just a shooter.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
I
So,
think that would really be such a backstep because they just now got back with Resident Evil Remake, 2 Remake, and 7 into saying Resident Evil is a horror game. It's a horror game again. And
So-
that's what I love because they really deviated from that with 4, 5, and 6.
and I'm with you on that 100%. On the I don't know what word I'm looking for. Essentially, on the main number franchises, they should stick to what that is. The same way Final Fantasy has like its thing for its main number franchises, but then we'll use the name for offshoots as well. It could be just a Resident Evil offshoot if they want to be experimental, but don't ever give it a number. Don't do what they did essentially, even though 4, 5, and 6, for some people, and well, 4 with a lot of people, but 5 and 6 for some people were fine games. They weren't Resident Evil anymore, right? So don't do that again. Call them something else. So
Yeah.
but I'm fine either way. I'm the wrong person. I'm not a Resident Evil guy, so I'm just throwing out as someone who wants to play a video game ideas that were appealing to me. So
Definitely. Yeah, just to reiterate real quick, if this was the perfect game for me, what I would want is I would want it to be called Resident Evil Outbreak. Again, it just doesn't have to be 1, 2, or 3. Just call it Outbreak. It's been long enough. Reinvent the game, make it a 4-player cooperative game that's in the vein of Resident Evil 2 Remake, where you have really high rendered, awesome locations in Raccoon City, where you just have a start point, end point, have multiple scenarios to play through with 4 people, plays just like Resident Evil 2 Remake, with randomized items in the map, maybe difficulties so different people can play different versions of it. I don't know how you do progression, but if you could do that, but you don't need to, and have different characters just like in the original Outbreak game that you can pick and have job abilities, not necessarily like an MMO, but like, oh, I got the gun, everybody fucking we're gonna use this if we have to, but keep it. Somebody else with like a lockpick or whatever. So you're working together to survive, but also make those maps really dark in certain areas, light in certain areas, and have somehow, some way scares. I mean, one thing that was really good about Resident Evil 2 is it's really claustrophobic, so you can still hear shit around the corner, but you don't want to go around that corner because it's dark as fuck. And you're like, there could be a zombie there, and it might just lunge at you as soon as you walk around, or it might be just wandering around. You don't know, so you have to go and find out. And to translate that into a multiplayer game, I think you could do. I don't want to see 4 people playing together just running through the map and just knifing zombies and shooting them and shit. I would play it still, but I think there's an opportunity here to make a really cool game that they tried to make back in the day. And they could definitely do it now. The technology's there, the framework's there, and what they've achieved with Remake, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and just translate that into a 4-player co-op game. That would be awesome, and I'd be so excited to play it. Anything else you guys want to add? All right, let us know in the comments. What do you think about these rumors? What do you think it's going to be? Did you play Outbreak back in the day? Did you play Revelations? Is that the one you referenced? I've heard good and bad things about one of the Revelations and the other one. And what do you want this game to be? What do you think it's going to be? And are you excited for TGS? And yeah, let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to rumored Resident Evil coming out or being shown at TGS. Second bit of news is pretty short, but I feel like we need to talk about it. So it has been confirmed by CD Projekt Red. And before I go into this, I did do a live reaction to the PAX gameplay. There's a stream of it. Make sure to go back and watch that if you want to hear my opinions on what was shown there. It's all there. So what we're talking about is CD Projekt Red has come out and confirmed that you will not be in third person during cutscenes. It is a first person game, so you'll be in first person in cutscenes. Now there's been some back and forth between people. A lot of gaming journalists confused because they thought that you were going to be in third person during cutscenes when that was never said. In fact, from my understanding, I've been reading, it's also supposed to be in first person. But, so it's finally been confirmed by CD Projekt Red, you will be in first person perspective during cutscenes as well. There is a tweet from Marcin, I don't know how you say his name, Momot, that says, achieving full immersion in an FPP game is extremely important, and the decision made by the team to go 100% first person in Cyberpunk game is something that will benefit it greatly from gameplay and storytelling perspectives. That said, players will still be able to see their characters in the inventory screen during driving sequences, in mirrors, and very occasionally in some of the cutscenes. So yeah, confirmed. You will be in first person for most of the game. For me, this is no surprise, but apparently it has been making the news lately. So people were, for some reason, expecting a third-person perspective in cutscenes. In fact, in my stream, we discussed this. Not me and you, but people watching with me. I was talking about how in storytelling, it makes complete sense because now, since you are locked into a viewpoint, they can do things off screen during story missions that you might not expect. There's more ways they can tell story. It would be inconsistent if they put in third person, because then things that they might want to do in the story that from a first person perspective, they can't now because you can see around your character. So they're going for that immersion. So we discussed it there, so this isn't a surprise for me. But what do we think about this being confirmed, lockdown, and what do you think about it?
I mean, I knew it was a first-person game, so I guess I'm a little confused on why this is even coming up. Obviously, there was some misconception.
To elaborate real quick as well, there has been, and the opinions are valid, people who want to be able to play the game third person. I've also said that I don't care, but it'd be cool if later in the game you beat the game, whatever, maybe you can unlock a third person mode.
Yeah.
So you can, if you want to play like that, you can, or I'm sure on Steam there'll be a fucking mod that comes out. But I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, like I said before, with the storytelling, they want to tell it from a first person's perspective, and there's a lot of things you can do in first person you can't do in third person. So there has been people who want that. Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting how that has translated to at least gaming journalism, as that is or was going to be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I there's nothing wrong with people, wanting things out of games they play. I'm not worried about that part so much as just like, I had heard speculation about the third person stuff, but like you had mentioned when, telling or reading the article or whatever, that was never actually said. So, and this just comes down to, it's not just this game. We've covered stuff like this in the past too, where speculation just kind of gets way out of control to the point where people believe it is the fact of the matter. Mm-hmm. Unless the developer comes out and says something, don't assume it's in the game. Like, I don't know. I can't.
Well, and the thing that kind of sucks about it too, and again, I'm not trying to take away from anybody's opinions on what they want. That's completely fine.
Yeah, that's completely different too.
But the thing that sucks about this is, and this did happen with No Man's Sky a little bit, but also at the same time, he did lie about certain things, like undoubtedly.
There were things said there, yeah.
He said some shit that he shouldn't have. But there's other things too that were just kind of like speculated on, and they turned into fact, and they weren't.
Yeah.
And so, that's just one example. People will let things grow, and then that becomes fact, and then people just assume that's how it's going to be, and then when they don't get that, they get upset.
Dancer as healer in Final Fantasy was a good example of
Yeah.
that as well. People said it so much that became the expectation.
And so I don't want to shit on anybody who has gotten like really excited about something that they heard about like that, because that is one thing that's always fun about games is to speculate, but you can't put a lot of emotion behind something that has not been confirmed. And that's not just to say like, don't have those opinions, don't get excited about. I just sat there and speculated about Resident Evil,
For sure.
whatever the fuck.
It could be fun.
It can be whatever the hell it is. If it's not that, which I know it won't be exactly what I want, I can't be upset with that. That was my idea. That's something I thought would be cool. Same thing with stuff like this. Like, speculate, have fun with it, but don't put a lot of emotion into it. Because when you're disappointed, you're going to be upset. And that's just, not only is it unfair to the developer, it's also unfair to you. Because you just set yourself up for essentially failure.
Speculation needs to be separate from expectation.
Yeah, and that's one thing with this channel I really try and separate is I like to just say, let's speculate a bit here, because that's always fun. It's going to happen. But, I don't want to ever give out false information. I don't want to push false information. I want to be clear about what we think versus what has been said, what has been fact, or at least what we've heard has been fact, and really clarify we've heard this. So stuff with this, like this, I get confused when I hear people so sure about things And I'm like, well, I'm always like, well, where'd you hear that? Where's you got a link? Like, cause we do a news show, people tell me stuff. I'm like, throw me a link, man. Like, let me know. Cause a lot of information. Like, even when you talk to I hate to use the term, but like a more casual gamer, I've heard them like say stuff about games coming out that like is completely unrelated. Like, oh, isn't that supposed to be like blah blah? I'm like, where'd that come from? I'm not even upset with them. I'm just like, where does this information manifest from, and how does it?
Telephone, man.
It's
I told this person, they told someone else, and it turned into a completely different story.
And I feel like that can evolve into something really negative. I've watched it too many times. And I won't use the word toxic because I hate that word, but it's too vague. But it does create an atmosphere of negativity around something if it's not achieved, and it's unfair, like I said, to everybody when it was never confirmed. Again, it's like a fucking mutating virus. It's weird when it comes to speculation. So
Yeah.
that being said, yeah, more so we're talking about that this was ever really a thing is weird.
That we're talking about it. Yeah.
I mean, this is the news. I wanted to pull us for this conversation mostly. When it comes to the actual news of this being confirmed, this is what I already knew from what I had read. I was going into this game expecting a first-person experience, and I've backed it. I don't care either way. If you want the third person and they put it in there, I wouldn't be like, God damn it. Yeah, it's fine. But I play first-person shooters. I don't mind first-person perspective. And if the cutscenes are going to be in first person, that makes sense to me because the storytelling is going to be different. You have to tell stories differently in third person and or first person. Right. So it makes sense to be consistent. They've already they just said there will be some cutscenes with third person. I assume that's probably maybe in the beginning of the game or the end of the game. Maybe your character comes out of a car or something like that, and then you zoom into the back of their head. Or at the end, some big event happens, and you see it from like an outer perspective, and you see your character there while it happens. I don't know. Speculating. But
not expecting.
But just throwing ideas out there on what it could be possibly. But the first person thing, that's what I'm expecting. That's what I thought from what I've read. That's what I've gathered. And so there's nothing disappointing or necessarily interesting about this to me. I was just more so confused on when I'm reading Polygon and Kotaku and Forbes and all sorts of gaming places. Forbes has a gaming section, apparently. They're all like, apparently they never said this. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, they haven't. Wait, what are you confused about? What's the passive aggressive aspect to this?
My buddy in the industry said we're going to have it though.
General rule of thumb for information gathering: check your source, check your source's source, and then take that with a grain of salt.
We don't do that these days.
So, I mean, and again, with the actual news, I just want to say I'm fine with it. I like it. That's what I expected, and that's what I want. If they chose to do something else, with CD Projekt Red, we trust. I don't care. Whatever the fuck they do, I'm down for. I'll just put it that way.
Until shown otherwise.
I have preferences in most games. CD Projekt Red says they're doing something. I don't care. Just do it. They're gonna do it great. I fucking trust them. So whatever they chose to do, they got their reasons. I back it. I ship it. It's good. So I'm all for it. And yeah, I just more so want to talk about the whole playing the game like telephone and how people are like, apparently they're not gonna have third person cutscenes. Okay. Where the fuck did you get that from? Unless you're just really want it, it's fine. We already went over this. I'm not gonna go over it again. Chris, what's your thoughts on pretty much what we've talked about, but also, preference on first person, third person thing?
Well, like I said, you take your information, you check your source, check your source's source, take it with a grain of salt. That's the general rule of thumb. Even for any kind of information gathering, even for school, you have to have a source. You need to check that source to see if they're valid. Don't just take things at face value, because that's how misinformation gets thrown about in the world, and that's how people get angry, and that's how violence starts. People just blow up over misinformation constantly. That being said, I personally prefer third-person games only because I like seeing my character, especially when they have customization options. It feels like, hey, that's me, that's my character. I like being able to see the physical aspect of it. However, first-person storytelling can be immensely immersive. And if this is the direction they want to go with it, then who am I to fucking argue with them? It's their story that they're going to tell. It's the way they want to tell it, the way they feel like it's going to be told best. Would I like it to be third person? Sure. Am I upset that it's not? Not really.
I would say one thing that comes to mind immediately, talking about like the immersion that you're going to get out of a first person experience versus third person, is in the original gameplay showcase where they're making the deal and there's just arms crossing because people are putting guns in people's faces and holding, the chip at the same time type of thing. I was like, that was crazy looking. I wouldn't have seen it that close in third person. I wouldn't have seen all the details. I would have seen it happen still, and it still probably would have been cool. But you were in it in first person, so. That's what they want. They want to give you all that the juicy detail with the interactions with people, because that's the type of game Cyberpunk is a like, you are a street rat trying to become the best street rat, the richest street rat, stop being a street rat pretty much, so like I don't know.
It simulates that intimacy that you have in real life.
Yes.
That like that close connection of that, seeing those little details of the person, whereas third person can't necessarily always portray that as well. Another example go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I also prefer third person games, just to throw that out there. And I'm totally okay with the first person in this game. So
yeah.
Another example of a compacted impact scene would be like the eyeball scene where you're getting your eyeball replaced with another cybernetic one. You would not have that experience of seeing that like cringe, like, like the things come and taking your eye out, your vision goes out, and then you see yourself in third person from the new eyeball that's coming in.
Yeah. And that is a good point. I don't really have a preference on first person or third person either, as long as you nail whatever you're trying to do. If you chose whichever one you're doing and you do it well, that's all I want. But there are factors in storytelling that you have to start looking into. So if you do a third person RPG, you're either going to do what like a lot of, decision based RPGs are going to do, and just have like fixed camera angles where people are standing there looking at each other talking. And then when you pick a thing, their dialogue changes, and then like maybe you'll hit a button and then like someone will like pull their gun up or something like that. And like, you're more so just like reading the story or watching the story unfold, or have something closer to like an Uncharted where the camera is more dynamic, it's moving around, it's more cinematic looking, but then you're more so watching a movie and you're watching the next cutscene you decided to have. So like you make the decision and then it goes to the next thing, you get that cut, it goes to the next scene, and then like it plays out, and that's fine as well. But in this, we are seeing these immersive things happening. Another one that I was going to bring up is the part where you're talking with the chick down in the
Corpo.
Yeah, the Corpo, and that guy sitting there checking you out, and like you're looking at like both of them, and they're both like talking, like you asking you questions and you're answering. He's like, he's fucking lying or whatever the hell, and you're looking at him and his eyes are like doing that crazy thing. That's all details you're getting that you would not get in a third person experience. You'd be watching from above or from the side. And it would be more so like you're just gathering the info, like, okay, they're questioning them. But from that first person perspective, you're the person. You're there looking right at them while they're playing it out and stuff. And there's a guy over there yelling about shit. And like there's this whole situation happening that you're standing there with them. And it creates immersion. That's literally what they're talking about. So like I said, CD Projekt Red wanted to do it this way. And from what I've seen so far, it makes sense why they're doing it this way. It makes sense for them to be consistent with that tone and that visual style, and being first person and telling the story all the way through like that. Because from what I've seen so far, they've been doing a great job. Like you said earlier with the gun thing, from a third person angle, you just see them go, all right, blah, blah, blah. But like from this angle, you actually get that like dynamic, like the gun enters the scene almost like a surprise. You get that option
through people's arms and shit.
You see that option and you're like, oh, I'm going to do that real quick. And then now it's just there in the scene. It happens just as you do it, and it escalates the scene. You're there. You're in the fucking you're experiencing what's happening right there. You feel the tension, and that's what they're going for, and that's what I'm loving about it. So I don't think you'd achieve the same level in a third person perspective. It's more like you're watching a movie. You're watching the
and
characters
not everyone's
play it out.
Naughty Dog.
Exactly. Nobody's Naughty Dog except for Naughty Dog. Although Guerrilla Games does a great job at what they do. Just throwing them out there. And Control's fantastic. Play that. We could talk about this forever. This could turn into Taste Cast, but I feel like we're all on the same page. We
100%.
all understand where they're coming from. We trust them to do what they want to do. We respect that. And when it comes to speculation, it's fun. Do it. That's like part. Yeah. I also hate when people shit on people speculating. I'll see like on Twitter, people will be like, "Oh, it'd be cool if they did this," and people are like, no, they're fucking stupid. They haven't even said that. Where'd you get that from? And I'm like, you just let them. Like, there's a balance. Like have fun with the speculation. It's part of being a gamer, but at the same time, don't let that lead your opinion, and don't fucking trust it.
Also, why would you want to stifle that? Because what if a dev comes along and reads that,
Sure.
and they get
It's
inspired?
feedback. It's feedback.
Yeah.
Let people have fun, as long as
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah. So yeah, speculate, but be responsible about it, and don't trust your own speculation without your sources. So
Yeah.
and I shouldn't have to tell that to game journalists. So
And we don't have to tell you guys, right?
no, we're having a conversation. But fuck game journalism. Anyway, I mean that's all I have to say on it. Really, I feel like
No, yeah, we're gonna ramble.
Yeah.
And we've been rambling, honestly. So.
this is why I was like, we're talking about 2 topics because I feel like there's conversations to be had here.
Yeah.
Typically we do like 3. So yeah, let us know in the comments. First off, are you one of the people that were surprised to hear that the cutscenes will not be in third person? If you are one of those people, no shame. Why did you think that? Did you hear that from somewhere? Give me kind of some insight on where that came from, because maybe I'm just out of the loop. I don't know. Maybe I didn't hear something that other people heard. What would you prefer, third person or first person? Are you okay with either? Do you have a preference? What do you think, the cutscenes are going to be like? They speculated, or they didn't speculate. They said that there's going to be some cutscenes that are third person. What do you think those are going to be? And yeah, overall, what are you thinking about Cyberpunk? Do you trust CD Projekt Red to do whatever? I'm sure you do if you're looking forward to the game. Everybody seems to be kind of on the same page on that. And let us know everything you're thinking about when it comes to Cyberpunk in the comments below. You have something to add?
No, but you kind of sound like you're going towards the outro, and I just want to throw a reminder out there real quick. If you made it this part of the episode, I assume you like us and you like being part of the community. Just a reminder, our game of the month in December is your guys' pick. Make sure to put some suggestions in the comments below about what you'd like us to play. So
yeah, I'm gonna start running like a tally and like the games that come up the most. Once we do have some kind of vote, I don't know how we're gonna do that yet, but the ones that get the most mentions will be like in like a top 4, and then we'll let you guys vote on that. So
yeah, that was it.
So yeah, but that's gonna do it for this episode of Taste Teased and Tastely Gaming. I want to thank Chris for hanging out. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook at Tastely Gaming. You can check out me and Chris on Twitch and me on Mixer and YouTube. Links down below. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we have a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
Until the next episode, which I don't know what the hell that'll be. It'll probably be Tastecast, episode 100. Probably. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, whatever.
It's the 100th episode. That's fucking crazy. Until then, have a good week, guys, and take it easy.